Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And what I want to do, it's day 5 of free agency. The Niners have lost a lot of players. They have signed several players. So I want to hand out my Niners free agency grades and go through every single player the Niners have added to their 2025 roster and give you my thoughts on these acquisitions. A reminder, hit that subscribe button. We've been live every single day of free agency talking about every single move that the Niners have made. We're approaching 160,000 subscribers. Why would you go anywhere else for your Niners content here on YouTube? Lock us in and hit that sub button. As for the moves that the Niners have made, let's go through them all. And then again, we'll go player by player to expand my thoughts on them. The Niners' first external signing, tight end Luke Farrell, inking a 3-year, $20.25 million contract worth $11 million in guaranteed money. Shortly thereafter, the Niners brought back Patrick Taylor, a special teams player and a backup running back, on a 1-year deal, not going to be worth a lot of money. Jordan Mason, the Niners placed a second-round tender on him. If he plays with the Niners, he will under a $5.34 million contract. Richie Grant, 1-year deal, $1.5 million. He gets under $350,000 in guaranteed money. The Niners, theme here, a lot of special teams players they have added to this team, and Brant Boyer really trying to remake that unit. Luke Gifford has been a good one at that linebacker spot, 1-year deal for him. Kevin Givens, he's been a solid backup player for San Francisco. He signs a 1-year deal at defensive tackle. Jason Pinnock, 1-year, $2.2 million. That's fully guaranteed. An offensive signing, Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver, 2-year, $9.5 million contract worth $6 million in guaranteed money. Trey Brown, cornerback, formerly of the Seahawks, 1-year deal, $2 million. Mac Jones, 2 years, up to $11.5 million to be the backup behind Brock Purdy. The Niners also signing Jon Weeks to a 1-year, $1.42 million contract to take over for Tabor Pepper to be the long snapper. Let's go through all of these moves, player by player, and then again, I will hand out my grades. For Luke Farrell, I can see where San Francisco is going here and why they made this move. With what Kyle Shanahan wants to do on the offensive side of the football, he needs a quality tight end 2 who can block. Luke Farrell is one of the top blocking tight ends in the NFL. He is seldom used as a pass catcher. He can be used on special teams, and so he adds impact as a blocker and as a special teamer. Do I think this contract is a little bit rich for a player who's not going to catch a lot of passes? Yeah. 3 years, $20.25, $11 million in guaranteed money. But last year, what did we see? This run game really suffered without a Charlie Warner and a Ross Dwelly. The Niners did not have a backup tight end and a tight end 2 who could block. Farrell's going to be able to do that. I also think this might signal a shift in going from less 21 personnel in utilizing a fullback with Kyle Juszczyk and more 12 personnel, using 2 tight ends with George Kittle and Farrell. And after the trade of Deebo Samuel, I think the Niners would like to include George Kittle more in the pass game. And if he blocks less and the Niners want to sign him to a contract extension that saves hits on Kittle's body, he's been a great pass catcher for Brock Purdy. You then use Farrell as more of a blocking tight end, and he can be utilized in that fullback role for Kyle Juszczyk. So I could see why they brought in a player like Luke Farrell. Not sexy, but a need. As for the Niners bringing back Patrick Taylor, he's a taller running back at 6'2". I don't think he gives you a lot of juice at the running back spot, but the theme during free agency, a lot of special teams moves here for the Niners. Patrick Taylor will be one of them. This is pretty interesting as we shift gears to another running back in Jordan Mason. So the Niners placed a second-round tender on him. If another team wants to sign Jordan Mason, who last year, in place of Christian McCaffrey, was a bell cow type of back, very physical, looked like a modern-day John Lynch, very physical, tough, rugged, can run over you, through you, and over you. he looked like a starting running back in this league. And so if another team wants to sign Mason, they have to give up a second-round pick to San Francisco. And if you lose Jordan Mason for a second-rounder, that's great. If you bring him back, you compensate him a little bit as a former UDFA out of Georgia Tech, and you give him $5.3 million. This tells me that the Niners really value him. If they lose him, they get a second-rounder. If he comes back, they're going to give him $5.3 million. There is uncertainty at the running back position, given Christian McCaffrey's age and the injury issues. Isaac Guerrero has been very brittle throughout his career, and Jordan Mason is clearly capable, has a lot of talent, and can be special in this league. And he can serve as running back insurance, if not draft pick insurance. For Richie Grant. Richie Grant is a former second-round pick out of UCF. He started a lot of games for Atlanta. He struggled a little bit in coverage with Atlanta. He is another player who can contribute on special teams. He's a good athlete. The Niners are bringing in a player with pedigree, and they're giving him less than $350,000 in guaranteed money. When you bring in a coach like Robert Saleh and you pay him a lot of money, like the Eagles last offseason paid Vic Fangio, you pay that coach to maximize players, put them in a position to succeed, to develop them, to extract the best out of that player. Can Robert Saleh do that with some of these players? Potentially, hopefully. Luke Gifford. Since coming into the league as a UDFA out of Nebraska, he's been one of the top special teams players in the NFL. He was with the Cowboys. He was with the Titans. He has one career interception off of Joe Burrow. Do the Niners have plans for him as an off-ball linebacker? Robert Saleh and his staff, they've been able to develop really good backers. With the Niners, with players like Fred Warner, Andre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shire really developed with San Francisco because they've done a really good job of developing that position. And then Robert Saleh with the Jets, he coached C.J. Mosley, terrific backer. Jamie and Sherwood got $15 million per year, in part because of the coaching and development of Robert Saleh and his staff. So can they bring the best out of Luke Gifford? He has one career interception off of Joe Burrow, more so used as a special teams player, but for little to no money at all. If you can get defensive snaps out of him, that's a win. What I think the Niners' plan is, Fred Warner, D. Winters, and then you see if a young guy can emerge on top of D. Winters like Tatum Bethune, 7th-round pick from 2024. Kevin Givens, he's been a solid player for the Niners, but he should not be a starter in this league. I have concerns about where this Niners defensive line is. They do not have a lot of talent or depth there. Givens, though, last year, 3.5 sacks in 8 games. And he's spent every year of his NFL career with the Niners from 2019 on. And so Robert Saleh knows him. You need backup defensive tackles. You hope that Givens can give you 3.5 sacks once again. And if he can, it's good value right there. Speaking of value, I like this signing of Jason Pinnock. Jason Pinnock started a lot of games for the New York Giants. He was originally drafted by the New York Jets in the 5th round out of Pittsburgh. So Robert Saleh knows the player. He's still only 25 years old. The Jets lost him after his rookie campaign, and then he goes to the Giants where he played the last 3 years. What stands out to me about Pinnock, everybody wants to point to the statistic that he had the 2nd highest passer rating when targeted among defensive backs in the NFL. Okay, use Jason Pinnock to his strengths, and that's being around the line of scrimmage in the box because he has a knack for making plays there. And what stands out to me about Pinnock, the sack numbers, the TFL numbers, and the quarterback hit numbers. 2022 to 2023, 2024. Sack numbers, 1.5, 2, 3. TFL numbers, 2, 6, 4. Quarterback hit numbers, 4, 4, 3. Pass breakups, 3, 6, 1. Interceptions, 0, 2, 0. But did have a 102-yard interception return for a touchdown with the Giants in 2023. He also started 16 games apiece the last 2 years. And so 39 starts, 58 games in 4 years, versatile, at his best when he's playing downhill. Robert Saleh should use him, downhill and use him a lot like Steve Spagnuolo uses Trent McDuffie. And if you do that, I think that you can get a good player there at $2.2 million. Demarcus Robinson, 2 years, $9.5 million, $6 million in guaranteed money. He is going to be your wide receiver 4. Every year that he's been in the NFL, he's been in the playoffs. He was a part of that Chiefs team in 2019 that beat the Niners. He's played with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and the last 2 years with Matthew Stafford. Last year, when the Rams had injuries at wideout, he had one of the best years of his career. He had more than 16 yards per catch, more than 50 catches, more than 500 yards, and he had 7 touchdowns. This is a player who can get vertical. He has some speed, and you can use him in the red zone. And last year, he was really solid. Again, you're asking him to be wide receiver 4 if you don't trade away Brandon Ayuk. And so the theme here, value, player who trended upward last year, who could be a good weapon for Brock Purdy. And it's pretty much a 1-year, $6 million deal or a 2-year, $3 million per. Trey Brown is a player who's a little bit undersized. He said on Twitter that he was injured a lot last year. He was a 4th-round pick by the Seahawks out of Oklahoma. He's 27 years old. He's played in 39 games with 13 starts. Last 2 years, he's played 15 and 13 games. The previous 2 years before that, 6 and 5. The jury is still out on him, but the Niners, they need corners. Going into the offseason, they only had Deommodore Lenoir, Renardo Green, and Darrell Luter Jr. as cornerbacks under contract. They signed LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew. They add Trey Brown, and we'll see if Jason Pinnock can play a little bit of corner. San Francisco also adding Mac Jones to a 2-year deal worth up to $11.5 million. Kyle Shanahan loved him in the pre-draft process. When he was at Alabama his final year, that team was loaded. They had NFL talent on offense all over the ball, on defense across the board. But he threw 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. He doesn't have great arm strength. He is not all that fast, but he has decent pocket feel, pocket mobility. The quarterbacks who work best in a Kyle Shanahan offense, they get the ball out on time, in rhythm, and accurately. Mac Jones has that to his game. He completed 77% of his passes his final year at Alabama. He was a Pro Bowler as a rookie with New England, and then after that, lost his confidence. With the Patriots, with the Jags, awful complementary players around him, and those offenses were terrible. So I think Mac Jones looks at the Niners as an opportunity to revive his career, get it back on track. And Kyle Shanahan's developed quarterbacks. And Mac Jones is a high-level backup behind Brock Purdy, who you know can start some games for you. And in the Shanahan system, you hope that he could play well. And Purdy has missed a lot of time, and he has contract questions. Jon Weeks, he's going to be 40 years old soon. He's been in the league since 2010. And the Niners, moving off of Tabor Pepper, who was with this team for 5 years, might go down famously as getting in that sideline spat with Deebo Samuel. And Deebo told the special teams unit to lock in. Then he grabbed Tabor Pepper by the neck. Tabor Pepper will be known for a lot of political tweets on X as well. And Jon Weeks being added to the Niners here, been in the league since 2010. The Niners are paying him more money than Tabor Pepper on this 1-year, $1.42 million contract. He's been a team captain. He's been a Pro Bowler. And something that I tweeted out a little bit earlier, Jake Moody and Jake Elliott both really struggled in 2024. Both teams moved off of their long snappers. Were the kicker struggles a reason behind why those teams moved off of their long snappers? Could be a reason why. That could be the Niners thinking here. This Niners polo on sale was $80. Now it's just $43. All you have to do, plug in that link down below. Thanks to our homies at Fanatics at chatsports.com/49polo. So my grade with what the 49ers have done so far in free agency, when I was at the NFL Combine and I asked the question of the offseason to John Lynch about Brandon Ayuk, who did not shoot down a trade of Ayuk, and then he basically revealed what the Niners have done in free agency, which has been shedding salary, getting younger. He mentioned what the Niners' plans were going to be. We want to get younger. We want to shed salaries. I agree with that strategy. I don't think the Niners have had to go to the lengths that they've gone in doing that and in gutting the roster, and now they have roster questions everywhere. And they haven't really made a splash move at all. And I don't think they're going to be very good in 2025. So as of right now, they have so many needs. Their future hinges on the next 2 drafts, where I get their strategy, right? They're going to eat $86 million in dead money this year. It's going to open up a lot of cap space next year. They have 22 picks in the next 2 drafts, 11 or 12 picks in the first 4 rounds combined the next 2 drafts. I get it. But they've been a little bit too aggressive and a little bit cheap in pinching pennies for an organization that's valued at $9 billion. Billion dollars. So I'm going to go free agency grade of a C, because I haven't really been blown away, impressed, and I disagreed with a lot of their moves, although I can see what their strategy is. Grade the Niners free agency so far. A, B, C, D, or F. We're live right now, and on 500 votes, 37% C, 20% B, 35% D or F. It's pretty telling.